President Zelensky. You look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same.
I apologize to you. You look wonderful.
In the same suit.
The most powerful leaders in the Western world sitting around one table. Trump on one side, Zelensky and the backup he brought on the other. Topic of discussion, the future of the Ukrainian state. This was the meeting held yesterday in Washington, D.C. at the White House, the presidential seat of power. And something extraordinary happened. Zelensky managed to find a suit to wear. Specifically a jacket/blazer, a tie, and a shirt, all in black. Now, personally, it felt a little like he was attending a funeral. And if anyone has died, it's his country. If he doesn't think pragmatically in the next few days, very possible. And he'll have to wear black for the rest of his, political career. And that might not last long. Now, Trump hosted Zelensky alongside European heavyweights. Macron of France, Merz of Germany, Starmer of the UK, even Italy's Meloni showed up. And NATO officials from both sides of the Atlantic, the American ones, North American ones, and the Western European ones, both sides. Now, Russia, no doubt, is going to be very chuffed. All this attention for me, you are too kind, But here's what makes this meeting different from every other Ukraine meeting you've seen so far. We're going to do the news and we're going to do the analysis, and I'm not going to make it excess, trust me. Well, actually, I can't help it, guys. I need to drink. I need to do my weird segues. I'll just try not to meander too much. And I hope that's enough for the haters. Otherwise, keep scrolling. But I've got some good details for you today. Solid research has been done for this one. You see, this meeting, Trump announced he's setting up direct talks between Putin and Zelensky, Russia head of state and Ukraine head of state, something that hasn't happened since the start of this damn war. Or special military operation, if you want to be truly... Anyway, this Washington meeting yesterday happened just days after Trump met Putin face-to-face in Alaska, where apparently enough progress was made to justify flying everyone out to Washington, probably on the European purse, let's be honest. Now, everyone said Alaska was nothing. There's nothing agreed there. It was a dud meeting. I said, if you go back and check, I assessed that it was very likely that Alaska had agreements that were made behind closed doors between Putin and Trump, discussions that will lead potentially to the end of the conflict. You see, Trump and Putin know the geopolitical reality on the ground in eastern Ukraine. The only way to peace is, well, not the only way. There's two main ways to peace. Option one, in alignment with the reality on the ground in Eastern Europe, Ukraine comes to the negotiating table, agrees to peace on Russia's terms. I know it's a bitter pill to swallow, but it's the reality. That's the red pill. And, absolutely ironically, just coincidentally, red represents Russia and blue represents NATO. But anyway, the blue pill is like this copium pill, right? You just ignore the reality on the ground and you ask for something else, or you keep fighting for something else. Or you agree to Russian terms, but you negotiate something more favorable for yourself, but start the negotiations with what Russia is asking for, because Russia is winning on the ground, the reality, right? This aligns with reality. Russia's winning, and therefore they get to dictate the terms of a peace agreement. That's just how geopolitics works. I'm not taking sides. I'm teaching you how geopolitics works. Not, oh, it should be this. Oh, this is right. This is what's correct. There's no correct. There's no international law. Look at what's happening for the last 2 years in the Middle East. There's no international law, guys. Wake up. There's only reality. Now, if you want to watch the Western spin, go watch the BBC, where they will talk about what's right, what's fair, as long as, the Western world benefits. They'll be talking about how Russia will lose and collapse any day now, and they're fighting with their shovels and microchips from computer chips from washing machines. Go watch that. Fake news, but go watch it. Now, option two for peace is, if Putin, for some reason, against the reality on the ground, compromises anyway, even though Russia holds the advantage, Putin says, I will agree to peace because it is better for Russia. He agrees for some weird reason, right? This is the less likely of the two options, because geostrategically, Russia's in the advantage. They've given up a lot in terms of blood and treasure in terms of manpower and in terms of equipment to get this far. They're not just going to retreat back into the Russian homeland out of the southern oblast. That's not very likely, right? Now, option 3, there's a secret option. The secret option nobody wants to talk about is Russia is winning, so they don't budge. And Ukraine has backup from Western Europe, so Zelensky will continue to think he's a big man, big man, a bigger man than he actually is. And so Russia will either have to continue an attritional war or commit more resources for a violent, aggressive breakthrough attempt. And tens of thousands will likely lose their lives in that madness because Russia doesn't budge because they think we're winning, and they are. And Ukraine doesn't budge because they've got Western Europe egging them on, like, oh, don't give up now. We're here to support you forever, And so nothing happens, and then Russia has to make a tough decision. So option 1 and 2 are diplomatic. Either Russia gives in, which is less likely geostrategically, or Ukraine gives in, which is reasonable actually geostrategically. And option 3, further bloodshed. There you go, that's the summary. It only took 5 minutes, you're welcome. Now you can go home, you don't need to watch the news. In 5 minutes, you've got the full comprehensive assessment. Now, there's a bit more though. Here's the fascinating part. European leaders are pushing hard for security guarantees. That's what they demanded during this meeting. Guarantees that would essentially give Ukraine NATO-level protection, Article 5 style. An attack on Ukraine is an attack on all of us. They want that sort of thing. They want to give Ukraine that sort of thing. Western Europe wants to give Ukraine that without giving Ukraine NATO membership. But the thing is, look around. Russia's not in the room. Wait, Russia's not. So these European states are going to be begging Trump for something that Trump can't give them. Who are you negotiating this Article 5 wannabe style deal with? You think Russia has fought 3 years, this long war with Ukraine, and you can loophole your way into a Ukraine in Article 5 style arrangement? How dumb do you think the Russians are? If you think that, then you're inebriated on stronger stuff than just Russian vodka. I'll tell you that, comrade. Right? The summary is clear. Trump and Putin discussed reality in Alaska. Europe went to Washington to see if anyone else wants to have a cheeky sniff of the copium they're all snorting in Western European capitals, right? Ukraine cannot win against Russia. That's the non-copium conclusion. Not even NATO-backed Ukraine can win against Russia. How? Where's the end goal? You guys tell me, if you're pro-NATO, pro-Ukraine, what does a Ukrainian victory look like exactly? You're just gonna keep chucking Ukrainian bodies at Russia until Russia gives up and loses interest, like a bear that's absolutely mauled Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant, and then it sort of paws off, just walks off into the forest. What's the plan, right? Russia has the advantage. So if you want peace, you need to come back to reality and obtain that peace geostrategically. This is my assessment. You need to come back to reality and obtain that peace by agreeing to conditions on Russian terms. Now, Zelensky has so far shown he can make changes, guys. He's donned a weird all-black suit. He was coached, apparently, as an article suggested. He was coached, apparently, before this Washington trip by Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister. God save us. He was coached on how to bootlick Trump. I mean, how to maintain diplomatic niceties and diplomatic decorum in the States. And as a result, the meeting seemed to go well. Definitely not that train wreck before where he was talking about having no cards and he was basically bickering with Trump on live TV, and it was not going well for him. He's got a suit this time. The guy who insulted him about the suit complimented him and apologized to him about the suit thing. It was going so well for Zelensky. Now, the question that remains now is, will Zelensky be flexible enough not just to wear a suit? Will he be flexible enough to give up what Russia has demanded? The southern oblasts, the DLZK, the mineral-rich southern provinces, Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, Kherson, and of course, Crimea. And no NATO, no Article 5, no Article 5 style wannabe arrangement either. Is he flexible enough for that? Because if he agrees to that, bang, he's got peace. He's got peace for his people. Exciting. Not to be, dying. It looks like a shift has occurred, I have to say. I have to conclude on this. A shift has occurred within Western Europe and Ukraine. Europe have said, okay, fine, no NATO for Ukraine, fine. But can we give NATO something like NATO? Can we give Ukraine something like NATO? So it's shifted, right? It's shifted a bit. They've come to terms with the fact that, okay, fine, Ukraine can't be in NATO. A few months ago, it was definitely Ukraine can be in NATO. Ukraine has the right to do whatever it wants, blah, 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 blah. Now it's like, okay, fine. They can't be in NATO. But can we give them a NATO-style agreement? So they've shifted towards the Russian demand, the Russian ask. But my forecast is they all need to shift a heck of a lot more. For better or worse, they need to shift a lot more. And then Russia might be willing to shift a little, even as the victor. They might be willing to shift a little, and then boom, we all have peace in Europe. Time will tell how things turn out, and I'll be here to report to you the news and the analysis, unbiased and without the Western spin. I'm Mahfouz, and I'll see you on the next one.